What's going on, everybody? I am the Shadow Sage, and this is part 2 of Naruto's half Senju and half Uzumaki. And if you do enjoy the video, remember to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you do want to see part 3 of this series, remember to hit the like goal of 500 likes. And before we get into the video, join the Discord server, links in the description down below. And without any further ado, let's get into this.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Part 1, we went over how Naruto becomes a Senju, and to sum it up, I made Minato a Senju, and the main difference in Naruto is that he's going to have water style and earth style, and therefore he's having wood style instead of wind style, and he has special classes with Yamato, so he becomes a prodigy in the academy and pretty good at wood style, and later he gets placed on Team 7 like in canon with Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, and then they take the bell test and end up passing like in canon. And now let's get into the actual video. So once Team 7 starts embarking on their ninja duties and missions, they will have their mundane D-rank missions just like in canon. Naruto having a similar personality to his canon self will ask for a C-rank mission, maybe in a more polite manner because he is more mature after all. And that's when Tazuna walks in. He doesn't pick on Naruto's height, Tenzo made sure that Naruto is well fed, so Naruto is definitely taller for sure. And when they go out and embark on their journey, the Demon Brothers are going to show up, and instead of Sasuke being an absolute chat and taking them both on, Naruto's going to take one on and leaving the other one with Sasuke. And after that, they question Tazuna and move on just like in canon, and that's when they run into the Demon of the Hidden Mist, Zabuza. So Kakashi tells his students to stay back, and he goes on to fight Zabuza and ends up in the water prison jutsu just like in canon. So Naruto and Sasuke step up to the plate and make a similar plan as their canon plan. Naruto's going to use wood clones instead of his canon shadow clones, and so when Sasuke throws his demon wheel shuriken, Naruto transforms, but instead of throwing a kunai to make Zabuza dodge, he counters a wood pole making Zabuza dodge and freeing Kakashi, but what Zabuza doesn't expect is for the wood pole to make a U-turn, slamming him in the chest. Not doing any real damage, but does knock Zabuza down, giving Kakashi an ever so slight advantage. And then Kakashi goes on to dominate Zabuza just like in canon, but then Haku comes in and fake kills Zabuza and takes him away. And once the fight is over, Kakashi collapses due to fatigue, just like in canon. And they end up going to Tazuna's residence and staying there while Kakashi is resting. And when Kakashi wakes up, he's going to teach his students tree walking, but Naruto already knows this, which pisses off Sasuke. And then when Sakura picks it up very quickly, Sasuke gets pissed off even more. And this causes Sasuke to grind so hard he's going to train even harder than he did in canon, which was already a lot. And so he'll be training all night, just like how Naruto did in canon. He'll pass out in the forest only to be woken up by a feminine looking boy. They then introduce each other, and Sasuke is a little bit more reluctant to talk to some random stranger compared to Naruto, but Haku is pretty persistent, and Haku will eventually ask his iconic question, do you have anyone precious to you? And Sasuke, being the massive emo that he is, lets out his whole backstory randomly like he does a lot through part 1, which honestly people give Naruto a lot of shade for talking about his backstory a lot, but Sasuke did a surprising amount throughout part 1. But anyways, I'm getting off track. Sasuke says, no, I don't have anyone precious to me, they're all dead. And in response, Haku just sighs. I see. That means you can never reach your true strength, he says, while just walking away, and this really angers Sasuke. He clenches his fist and says, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Haku stops in his tracks and goes on about how you can only be truly strong when protecting someone precious to you, and Sasuke shakes his head in anger. They both start walking away, and Sasuke claims that only true strength lies in hatred, and Haku is simply saddened by Sasuke's response. They then continue to walk away in disagreement as Haku's advice flies over Sasuke's stubborn head. And the next day, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi are going to be guarding the bridge with Tazuna, but this time Naruto's going to be there as well because he's not burnt out from training. And when Zabuza shows up, he's going to fight Kakashi, and Haku will fight Naruto and Sasuke as Sakura guards Tazuna, being useless as always. The fight between Kakashi and Zabuza goes pretty much the same, and while Naruto and Sasuke fight Haku, Naruto can't really fight Haku due to Haku's speed, and even Sasuke couldn't in canon, and Naruto and Sasuke have pretty much equal speed in this timeline. So they're practically sitting ducks just like in canon, but this time to counter that, Naruto can make wood walls but not domes, so with his walls he can block as many Senbon as he can, but certainly not all of them. To be frank, Naruto and Sasuke are doomed without a Sharingan. But after Naruto and Sasuke get stabbed multiple times, the Uchiha's latent dojutsu is awakened just like in canon. And with Sasuke's Kekkei Genkai, he truly becomes a threat to Haku, and with Naruto being vulnerable, he decides to take him out. And this one Sasuke quote-unquote becomes truly strong and jumps in front of Naruto, saving him and making Naruto go mental and tap into the Nine-Tails chakra. And now that Naruto's going to sicko mode on Haku, he's fucking him up, and when he knocks off Haku's mask, he won't stop like in canon out of shock and sympathy because he never met Haku in this timeline, and therefore will just finish the job job. And this also means that he never learns Haku's backstory and therefore never creates his Nindo or his ninja way. And also when Kakashi Chidori's Zabuza, Haku is already mincemeat and therefore can't save his master, and Zabuza will die. And after Haku and Zabuza are both dead, Naruto comes back to his senses and shocked at what he just did, and that's that he brutally murdered Haku due to his rage. And also since Zabuza is dead, he can't shit talk Haku, and that means Naruto can't talk Ninjutsu him, so in the end Naruto can't grow from this mission and become more mature like he did in canon, so he doesn't develop his Nindo like I said earlier. But for Gato's thugs, Naruto and Kakashi can just deal with them. Kakashi said he could do it himself in canon, but Zabuza wanted to do it himself, so that's why Kakashi didn't. And plus Naruto is helping him too, so that pretty much adds to destroying the thugs. And that's when they finish the mission and they have to stay for Sasuke to heal, and then after that they go back to Konoha. And once they're back in Konoha, they're gonna chill there for a few weeks, train, just rest after a tiring mission. What they normally do, just go through the motions of their life. Wow, I just said a lot. What the hell? I feel like Naruto. But oh well, Naruto and Sakura are gonna run into the Sand Trio and find Kankuro picking on Konohamaru. And this time Naruto is gonna need Sasuke to show up and carry him. And when Gaara shows up, he's gonna ask for both Naruto and Sasuke's names and not just Sasuke's. And later on, Kakashi tells them about the Chunin Sands, and this time Haruka won't go out of his way to test Team 7 because he has full faith in Naruto because he's a prodigy in this timeline. And when they all pull up to the testing building, Naruto will sense a Genjutsu along with Sasuke, and that's when Rock Lee challenges Sasuke, and he'll challenge Naruto as well, knowing that they are both geniuses hailing from the most prestigious clans of all time. But do keep in mind that Rock Lee does not know about Naruto's wood style. And when he goes on to fight Sasuke, the fight goes pretty much as in canon, and he destroys his fragile ego. And this when Naruto's gonna go in the fight, but he's gonna go in pretty cautiously because he saw Sasuke get ass whooped. And even so, Naruto is no match for Lee's speed, and so Naruto has to whip out the wood style, and Naruto's able to sense where Lee is coming from, and just in the nick of time, he conjures a wood pole which slams the unsuspecting Lee in the gut, slamming him into the wall. And Rock Lee slowly gets up and then rushes at his opponent again, but that's when Mike Guy appears and decks his student for picking fights like in canon. They will then all move on to the first phase where they meet Kabuto and see his series-defining ninja cards. You all remember what I'm talking about? Psych, y'all probably don't even know what I'm talking about. That was some irrelevant ass shit. But moving on, they go in to take the tests, and Naruto is smart enough to answer a few questions, and he cheats for the rest because he's not dumb in this timeline due to his training with Tenzo. And everyone else has the same result as in canon, and when the 10th question rolls around, it goes pretty similar. Naruto has his hype speech, and everyone ends up passing. They will then go to the Forest of Death, and Anko will explain everything about the rules and how they could die and all that wonderful stuff. Then they start, and Naruto has to take a leak, just like in canon, but this time he won't be taken down by that rain ninja and impersonated, so Sasuke doesn't make a secret code. And later on, they're attacked by Orochimaru, but this time he doesn't use his Great Wind Breakthrough to separate Team 7 and get Naruto at the snake. This time, his target does not only pertain to the last Uchiha, but also one of the last Senju. And this time when Orochimaru shows up, it'll be without his Naruto disguise, and he just jumps Team 7 right away. And y'all might be asking me, how does Orochimaru know about Naruto's wood style? Well, it's fucking Orochimaru. What doesn't the bastard know? And shut the fuck up, it's not a plot hole, I promise. And even if it was, Orochimaru would just see his wood style in action, so that's how he knows. Now, happy? Now moving on, as strong as Naruto is in this timeline, he'll get a few hits on Orochimaru, but there's still no match for the Snake Sannin, and Sasuke gets his glorified Hiki, which pisses off Naruto like in canon, making him lose his marbles and go all 9 tails on Orochimaru's ass. And even with Naruto's amp, he still no Sannin, so Orochimaru just cock slaps him and then puts the heavenly curse mark on Naruto. And he won't need to use his 5-pronged steel this time, because the curse mark is already disrupting Naruto's chakra, so the 5-pronged steel is just overkill. And that's when Naruto and Sasuke both pass out due to the stress of the curse mark, and Sakura has to nurse them back to health. And just due to sheer probability, Naruto would most likely die to the curse mark. Orochimaru said that the curse mark had a 10% survival rate, so for Naruto and Sasuke to both survive is extremely unlikely, but they have plot armor, so yeah, they're gonna be alright. This series really can't go on if Naruto is dead, so he has to survive. And as they're both unconscious, that's when the Sound Guineas show up and attack Sakura, and they screw her harder than Escanor fucked Galand, and to be honest, Galand kinda fucked himself, but screw technicality. But that's when Lee shows up and then proceeds to get messed up like in canon, but not to the same extent, because Naruto, who has the curse mark, wakes up a little earlier than Sasuke did in canon because he has higher healing than Sasuke, so I just say that he wakes up a little bit earlier. They both have the same injury, so that means Naruto has higher healing due to Kurama and his Senju and Uzumaki DNA. He definitely has higher healing than Sasuke and would wake up earlier than him. And now Naruto's awake will be influenced by the curse mark in the same way Sasuke was, and he'll go sicko mode and destroy Zaku's arms, and Dosu, being the smart one in the Sound Genin, will give up the scroll like in canon, but this time it's to Naruto. And then Sakura, who's a simp for both Naruto and Sasuke in this timeline, will hug Naruto the way she did for Sasuke and make his curse mark recede. And everyone there who was watching, all of Team 10, Team Guy, Sakura, they're all surprised that someone as kind as Naruto became a psychopath in that short amount of time. Like in canon, they were already mega shocked when Sasuke became a psychopath, but he was already emo and a little bit unhinged, but someone like Naruto becoming a complete psychopath due to the curse mark really scared them. And once Naruto's back in his senses, he's just shaking, ashamed of what he just did again. In the land of waves, he brutally murdered Haku, and now he just destroyed Saku's arms in rage. And it's like he's going down a path, like it's really not his fault. He was being controlled both times per se, but he feels really, really guilty right now, and he's just shaking out of fear of himself. But then Naruto remembers something. He remembers that Sasuke got a bite on his neck too, like Naruto, so he rushes to Sasuke's side, only to find the same mark that had messed up Naruto there. And Naruto lets out a massive sigh and then shakes Sasuke vigorously until the poor lad wakes up. And Sasuke's gonna be understandably pissed off, and then Naruto's gonna explain how the curse mark is there and how it's really bad and how he should never use it. And Naruto doesn't really go into the details of what it did to him because he's kind of embarrassed and he doesn't want to like tell Sasuke, his rival. And eventually they're gonna move on and try to finish the second phase, and that's when they eventually run into Kabuto and make their alliance. But we all know that's not really an alliance, it's just for Kabuto to make sure that the curse mark was doing well. And once their fake alliance is formed, they're gonna eventually run into Team Oboro like in canon, and they're gonna run into their clone Genjutsu. But this time, since Naruto can't mold chakra the way Sasuke couldn't in canon, they're gonna have a pretty tough time. But despite that, I do believe they're gonna find a way to overcome it. I mean, it's just a Genjutsu after all, and they're just gonna release it. And even if they couldn't, Kabuto is said to be on Kakashi level, so he can definitely help them. And then after they finally take down Team Oboro, they're gonna take their scroll and then finish the second phase of the Chunin exams and reach the final tower. And I'm gonna wrap the video up there, guys. If you did get this far, just drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And remember, if you do want to see part 3, help the video reach the like goal. And like always, remember to stay safe and have a great day. I'm the Shadow Sage, signing off.